And he said, you know what, you have to play the cello, okay? Since then I was like, okay, I have to play the cello.
Lana went on to study in Germany before returning to Bosnia. She left again at 17 and is now based in Switzerland. Yet Sarajevo and the music and language of the city and of Bosnia never left her.
Bosnian was just a very natural language to use because it was it's a lot about the people from Bosnia, also from Balkans, and also my experiences. I couldn't express it in any other language, I think.
The religious divisions that underlay the Balkan War in the early 1990s are something that has marked Lana in a profound way. And this comes out in the song Ovce, about the massacre in Srebrenica.
People are religious. It's natural probably because people suffered so much. So the only thing what left is God, but it's not really helpful. But also something dangerous could happen if it keeps going in this direction. And that's why I use this scary sound like
Some of the songs are quite harsh on the realities of life in Bosnia now. And this reflects very strong feelings from Lana Kostic herself.
You know, sometimes I think they're not even nationalists, they're just thieves. If you want a job, then you need to be in a party, and then you have to vote for the party, so it's a very difficult situation.
There is a certain darkness in the album, as there is in the accompanying film that she made in and around Sarajevo. And with war in Ukraine, this has brought up the ghosts of the past. Somehow allow people to connect across the divides that she sees still in Bosnia.
I mean, I just remember when my parents, they always play all the music, like Macedonian, Bosnian, Serbian, Croatian, and then rock and roll and pop music. And
that was Michael Rossi reporting. You're listening to Weekend from the BBC World Service. In a moment, I'll introduce you to my two guests who are with me for the rest of the programme. Before that, the latest international news headlines.
Technology is being used to strengthen democracy.
One such democratic initiative can be found in Taiwan, a means through which people could debate issues that they wanted Parliament to rule on.
You had groups forming in one great big supergroup around super consensus statements, and it was those that they turned into laws.
Can technology save democracy? At bbcworldservice.com/documentaries. Digital Radio Mondiale, bringing you a greater selection of programmes from broadcasters across Europe and the world. To find out what's on and when, go to drm.org.
The BBC on DRM for Europe. Better radio altogether.
It's 5:30 GMT. This is Weekend from the BBC World Service. Still to come, a legal first in Britain as a senior Nigerian politician and his wife are found guilty of an organ trafficking plot. And a decision over the official language of Moldova, which aims to resolve a heated dispute in the country. That's all here on Weekend with me, Julian Warwicker, after the latest world news.
BBC News with Chris Barrow. Reports from Tunisia say another migrant boat has sunk amid an unprecedented wave of departures from the country. Human rights groups in Tunisia say at least 19 migrants died attempting to cross to Italy from the port of Sfax. The White House has said it sees no need to adjust its nuclear strategy following President Putin's announcement that Russia will deploy nuclear weapons in neighbouring Belarus. Mr. Putin said the move would not violate nuclear non-proliferation agreements. Donald Trump has railed against the dark forces he says are lined up against him as he opened his campaign to win back the US presidency. At a rally in Texas, much of his anger was directed at his former lawyer, Michael Cohen, a potential witness in a case over hush money allegedly paid to a porn star. The US Vice President Kamala Harris is beginning a tour of Africa, where Washington is trying to rekindle relations in the face of competition from China and Russia. She'll visit Ghana, Zambia and Tanzania. 2 Israeli cabinet ministers have called for the dismissal of the defense minister Yoav Gallant after he called for plans to overhaul the judicial system to be paused. Honduras has broken off diplomatic relations with Taiwan, saying it now accepted that Beijing was the only legitimate government of China. The Taiwanese foreign minister has said Honduras harbours illusions about Chinese promises of financial aid. A referendum is being held in Berlin to decide whether the German capital should become climate neutral by 2030, 15 years ahead of schedule. Most of the city's political leaders say it's impossible to reach zero emissions so quickly. 2,000 mummified ram's heads dating from the Ptolemaic period have been discovered at the ancient temple of Ramesses II in Upper Egypt. Other mummified animals were also found. BBC News.
You're listening to the BBC World Service. I'm Julian Warwick with Weekend, and I have 2 guests with me for the rest of the programme.